After weeks of anticipation, we finally got the long-awaited reunion between Alex and Spencer. And guess what? Taylor Sheridan made sure it was nothing short of dramatic. I mean, we all knew the season finale wouldn't be the coziest, sweetest one filled with flowers and butterflies, but this was too much for me to handle. Anyway, I've already covered episode 7 yesterday, and I'll drop a link below if you want to join me in my little venting session. But today, we'll take a look at where the story might go from here and talk about the next season. So without further ado, let's dive in. At the end of the season, we had Elsa's narration, which honestly gets me every single time. But that's not the case here. She gave us a sneak peek into the future, telling us what happened next. Apparently, Spencer died in the late 60s, years after Alex's death. He never remarried, thank God, but he had a son from a widow we don't know. Now, if we take a look at the year when he died, we have no clue who else is in the Dutton household except for Spencer's son, and maybe Elizabeth and Jack's child. It's a whole new generation, and it's pretty intriguing. But we'll get there in a second. What about the next season? Well, I believe it's safe to say that Elsa's narration tied the loose ends, at least for Spencer's storyline. But we still don't know how World War II affects the Duttons. We don't know what happens to Jacob and Kara. I hope they died from natural causes, in peace. Then we have Elizabeth, who leaves the ranch after Jack's death with a baby in her belly. And let's not forget about Teyonna. She's off to a new life and she's on her own. Another season of 1923 could be great. It would give us all the answers we need. But without the Banner and Whitfield conflict, I'm not sure the next season would pack the same punch as its predecessors. Instead of another season, I believe what we really need is 1944, a brand new Yellowstone prequel waiting to be explored. So what would this show be about? First things first, it would of course be set in Montana. And since it's set in the mid-40s, the story unfolds just a year before World War II ends. As much as I'd love to see Jacob and Kara again, I'm not sure they'd make it another 2 decades, which sadly means we probably won't see Helen Mirren or Harrison Ford return. Since we already know Spencer never remarries, what we have is none other than Spencer and his son. The household doesn't have a matriarch, which is a huge problem if you ask me, because we all love and adore the Dutton women, and the story just wouldn't be complete without them. Here's what I'm thinking. For some reason, Elizabeth might return from Boston and decide to raise her child on Dutton land. Maybe she loses everything and has no choice but to come back. I know she was a bit childish at first, but let's be real, she was still so young. Plus, throughout season 2, she's grown a lot. She's become more resilient, more courageous. By 1944, I think she'd still have that wild streak, but in the best way possible. Also, Elsa never revealed what happened to her. She was pregnant with Jack's child, another Dutton heir, so both her story and her child will be pretty important in 1944. I've seen a few comments suggesting that Spencer's son comes from a widow, and some of you even theorize that this widow is none other than Elizabeth herself. Honestly, I couldn't disagree more. I can definitely see Spencer and Elizabeth both running the ranch. They've each been through so much loss, and they understand the weight of that responsibility. But when it comes to anything beyond that, I just don't see it. They both lost the loves of their lives, and forcing them into some kind of romance would feel completely unnatural. It wouldn't just be out of character, it would be wrong on so many levels. I really hope Taylor Sheridan doesn't take the story in that direction. Spencer and Elizabeth deserve strong, well-developed arcs, not a forced relationship that would undermine everything they've been through. Also, their children will be the next generation, so the show will mostly focus on their storylines. Then we have Teyonna. In the final episode, she finally found the freedom she's been seeking. She lost everyone she loves just to become a free young woman, and I'm dying to know what happened to her next. Similarly to 1923, I believe 1944 will keep telling her own storyline. Wouldn't that be amazing? Now, remember when I mentioned 1969? Yeah, let's talk about that. We've seen Spencer near Alex's grave with a flash forward, and I don't think it was in vain. After 1944, I think we'll get to see what happens in 1969 in a different spin-off. Also, since John III was born in the late 50s, we'd get to see him as a young kid. Wouldn't that be lovely? Now, about the release dates, sadly, we don't have a confirmed release for 1944, and 1969 is just a rumour at this point. Making a show from scratch, with its script, casting, and all the logistics, is not something that can be done with a snap of a finger. So I believe early in the next few years is the closest we might get to watching 1944. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to watch the next video.